Greetings and welcome to Smartwatch Ticks. We're a YouTube channel on the web at smartwatchticks.com, and today we're taking a look at these health bands, and I mean super health bands. All of them do EKG or ECG, whichever way you pronounce it, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. And we've had a lot of questions about, well, which one's the best? And are they using the same sensors? Are they even similar? And are the results correct? Let's dive into some of that. Let me give you the bottom line off the bat. There's two different camps here, and I've divided them right here. There are these that have green diodes in them when they start testing things like heart rate and pulse, of course, is heart rate, and blood pressure and so forth. And there's the more advanced kind that have green diodes and red diodes in them. And the red diodes are being used for blood oxygen and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. That's where we divide them. And these guys, I'm going to say, they're nice, but I'd skip them. These are maybe in the $30 bracket. These are maybe in the $50 bracket. And unless money is an object, these are probably not going to give you what you want if you really want to get deep into this stuff. It does do ECG, heart rate, and blood pressure, though. This one is one I haven't even reviewed yet, called the P11. We'll be talking about that in a future review. And this one we have reviewed. It's upside down. The i7E, and I have a good review up on that one as well. But both of them lack the red diodes, so I'm going to eliminate them from this video right off the bat. That leaves us with these two. And I have these different phones set up syncing to these two different bands. One of them, this one here, is called and let me bring over the thing on it, the Bakey V19. And it's an ECG, PPG, and blood oxygen watch, which does a whole bunch of stuff you're about to see on the app. And the other one is, there it is, the Spovan Blade. And this is a brand new one that Jason's brought us from China that just emerged. And like the other one, it does a whole bunch of other functions as well, plus a few extras, which is why I'm giving the award to this one. If you want to buy one, buy the Spovan Blade. Here's a couple of reasons why. This is the only one that lets you set an alarm for sleep apnea. And it works. When you're asleep and you're starting to hold your breath, it will vibrate and you'll wake up. I have. And it's like such a shock to wake up realizing you're not breathing. And then a gasp for air. There's a lot of medical stuff out there about how important it is to breathe regularly and not fall into sleep apnea. So having the ability not just to tell whether you had it overnight or not, but to alarm you in the middle of an incident is a really great beneficial feature. Beyond that is this. And we haven't even looked at this yet. That's coming up in another review. But the same band, the Spovan Blade, you can pull the bands off and you can slap it inside this little contraption. The electrodes touch here. Peel this off and stick this on your hairy chest, so says Jason, and it will allow you, with some calibration with your finger, to get a real-time ECG chart directly from your chest, like a regular ECG machine would do. Only available in the Spovan Blade, and this is the one that has the alarm as well. So now you know which one you want, but let's go through the data, because some questions have come up on whether or not the sensors are identical in both of these. So last night I slept with both of these, this being the V19 and this being the Spovan Blade. Now this one, I got to do this press unlock thing. I'm going to show you how to turn that off real quick so we can get through things a little bit easier. I go in here into the e-watch, and we're going to go into the switch settings, and the long press, I'm going to turn that puppy off. So now when I touch it, I'll just cycle through like I am on here so that we can see that indeed we're at the 158 steps. So this one matches this one matches this one. This is WoFit app, and it's matching up here. And this one, the Spovan blade, is using the H-Band 2 app. And it's reading its data right now. Both of them constantly are updating from the bands. So now we know which bands are which, and now we know which apps are which. And let's take a quick look at the data together. We start out here on steps. I don't have much today, so I'm going to kind of skip that one and head on down to sleep. Here is last night's data, and I do remember getting up to head to the restroom at one point in the night. And let's look a little closer at the technical detail and the layout of both. These are nice presentations. You've got big graphs, and when you touch on here and slide it along, you can get times, including that I was awake between 4:14 and 4:21 this morning, according to that one. This one, I was up at 4:25 to 4:28. So they're correlating really nicely. When you look down at the data, here we have the overall sleep duration, 7 hours and 51 minutes, 7.5 hours there. This gives us quality. Okay, it says good. Don't know what they're judging that on. 3 hours and 10 minutes of deep sleep, 3 hours and 9 minutes, 3 hours and 4 of light, 3 hours and 6 over here, an hour and 8 of rapid eye movement, 126. Insomnia, 0 on this one, and waking up for 10 minutes. And I don't see those factors on here. Well, awake time right here, 0 it says. This one gave me 10 minutes of awake time. Oh, here we go. Here's sleep quality, 3 stars, which I guess maybe is good. So all in all, the data correlates well, and it's pretty much the same time. It says I was awake 2 times, falling asleep efficiency 1 minute. Here's our light and deep sleep proportion and rapid eye movement proportion, percentages. That's kind of a nice display. This says sleep falling efficiency was 4 minutes versus 1, and overall sleep efficiency 0 minutes. So yeah, I'd say within statistical deviation, they're rapidly doing the same thing all night long. I can't quote for all of these times that it's saying I'm in and out of these different zones of sleep, but it did track nicely the time that I was awake. So that's about the sleep tracking. Let's go on to the next thing, which is basic heart rate. And both of them give us a graph, and I don't know really how to tell you if they correlate well or not. They show the times, and I haven't been wearing it today, but last night, all during the night, this is where we are. And if I go into show all data, here we go. And it jumps all over the place. So maybe it's reading it right. Maybe a heart rate does change that much. It's interesting because later we'll see the resting heart rate is way lower than what it's getting for these readings. But notice they're being taken every half hour here. And this is a range of like 4 to 459. And when you tap it, you see it's taking the readings every minute. So on the V19, we have much more frequent time frames for when the heart rate is taken. Here it's just every half hour. Out of all of this, it averages things out, and that's what's reported. So that's heart rate. It has heart rate scope on this one. Do we have anything like that here? No, we just have the heart rate. So again, the V19 has this heart rate scope, which is showing you your different heart rate zones with a heart rate upper limit, and you can have a cap reminder. So this one can vibrate when you're exceeding your upper heart rate limit. Other than that, this is just a descriptor. So this might be good for when you're exercising. And then more statistical data is just showing you weekly summaries and stuff like that on this one. Okay, that's pretty much it for heart rate. Now, coming down as we get deeper in here, here's overall blood pressure. Both of them show you kind of a bar segment with the upper systolic and diastolic. There's your lowest and highest and measured times. Highest 133 over 92, 122 over 74. Lowest was 130 over 78, and here I'm 113.79. An average of 126 over 84 on this one. Yeah, blood pressure's way off. So the trick here would be whichever one you get, to test it against a calibrated cuff and find out what the deviation is. If you're normally 120/80 and you're coming in at average is 126/84, then you subtract a little from here to get to what your real blood pressure is. But if you're hypertensive, 130/90, you'd raise it. So blood pressure is always a tough one on this because you're not really measuring pressure, you're measuring something else, and an algorithm is estimating blood pressure. Again, it shows you all the data here, and it's done in every 5-minute increments throughout the night. Whole lot of data taken by the V19. This one, less. Okay, it's happening every 5 minutes, it looks like. Okay, it's just got them all shown together. It's not all grouped like this one is and working off of averages. So that's blood pressure. Now we get to the fun stuff, heart rate variability and blood oxygen. When you go into HRV, we get a couple of things. This one takes us right into a chart and a Lorentz scatter diagram. This gives us this kind of a representation, which I'm not sure how to read. And it also has the Lorentz scatter diagram. This is supposedly the diagram from both of these of my heart throughout the night, representative by these different forms that you see that they could be. And then there's definitions of what each of those mean. To me, both of them are kind of looking like rocket, or comet rather. Comet has got the tail this way, rocket's got it up that way, and that's supposedly the normal way your heart behaves. This has a little more detail. I like the black against white, but I think you can change that to white on this one. I think you're locked in on that, but that's just subtle. That's about how the apps represent the data. It's giving you a heart health index of 71 here, and I'm not sure we have any kind of an index. Yes, we do. Here we go. Heart health index 74 over here. So it's in the upper area, and both of them compute that. Again, you can show all the underlying data in the V19 right down here. It's doing it every minute when it's testing all of this stuff. And more statistical data is your weekly summary and such. Here, it's showing you some interesting categories of your heart rate change and so forth and so forth and so forth, and how you ranked up that night. And these do change regularly as well. I'm not seeing that in the HRV on this one. So far they're tracking fairly even, subtle differences, but now we're going to get to the big difference. Both of them have the green diodes and the red diodes, and it's the red diodes that are invoked for blood oxygen. When we go into here now, here's where I'm seeing some differences. Here's the blood oxygen chart throughout the night. Here it is on this one, and it's averaging 97, going a little higher and dipping down, and you see those little yellow dots on here? Am I close enough for you? Those represent the times that it's actually seeing apnea. On this one, consistently now, it's 0. I've never had one experience of apnea reported from this band. This one, I'm seeing somewhere between 2 and 9. It was 8 last night. Reference value is under 7 is what's recommended, but I'm at relatively high last night. And by golly, you see those ones dipping down there. I do remember at least 3 times during the night that the band went off. It vibrates twice. The first one's kind of a, what's that? And the second one, oh, it's the band. And the third is, taking a breath. It's scary, folks. It's really weird. It's so weird. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Are you a guy? Okay. It's like if your wife or girlfriend comes and shakes you while you're snoring and you go, you know? It's very, yeah. I'll tell you, your significant other who is with you, if there is one, is going to really appreciate this waking you up and not them having to do it. But that is probably the main reason I would buy this, even over the chest strap thing, if I were going to buy one, is the fact that it does seem to be accurately reporting sleep apnea. And when you get way down here, hypoxia and arousal, this is the setting that lets you turn that on It just turned off on me for some reason, the wake-up mechanism, and it will then sound the alarm. If you just want to know and not be woken up, you can certainly leave that turned off. So I had 8 apnea incidents. Blood oxygen average 98 here, 97 there. Roughly 95 to 99 is good. Now, here we go. Respiration rate of 17. It was down to 12 according to this one. There's one me. There's one breath. There's all night. Who isn't telling the truth? One of you is wrong. Maybe both of you. Which gets us to the point of, well, is this data correct or not? It depends on what your tolerance level is. If a range of 10 to 20 is okay, it doesn't matter if you're 12 or 17. But, you know, if it were critical that you have to be above 15 or your heart's going to stop, which it's not, and don't worry about it, then that could be of concern. So respiratory rate is reasonable on the low end because you're resting, but it's not accurate in terms of both of them having the same reading. Hypoxia time, and here I go, is a 0 on here, and it's 2 on there, probably because I got a little apnea reporting on this one. Cardiac load, now they match up, 33 and 33. And then the range of sleeping activity, I got 15 here and 0. So the fact I'm getting all these zeros, the apnea, 0 all the way through. By the way, yeah, you can touch these and get all the underlying data. Just tons and tons of raw data on this one. No, I don't think you can export all that, but you can write them all down if you want to. Here's all of this same kind of information, but it's not reporting anything other than 0 in these categories. So I don't know, really, if this is a defect in this particular one, that it's not picking up the apnea, or if it just doesn't do it, even though it supposedly has the ability, or if it's a defect in the app, and this is actually reporting the data just like this one is. Their nodes sending in the data, and the app is not discerning it as fine as this app is. Irregardless, you take all that away, this is the winner for apnea and all the things that have to do with blood oxygen if you're interested in that. That's the Spovan blade, and Kronos Blade has that available on their website. And of course, all of these will have links in the show notes below, whichever one you'd like to buy. And this is the one I'm recommending. Beyond that now, we can come back and look at, that was blood oxygen, ECG. So I ran out an ECG on both of these. Oh, by the way, this one I've got it set now for female so that you could see that the H-band 2 has a female cycle monitoring system built into here, where you can set up the time if you're a lady, or if you're tracking that for a lady, you could set up the time that their period started, length of it, and ovulation periods, and do all kinds of interesting analysis of the basic 28-day plus or minus cycle that happens every month for females. But you have to log in as a female in order to get that. So I did do that so that I could add that frame for you to see. That's not available in this app or this band. Another one, more for the H-band, because there's a lot of other bands and watches out there that use the H-band 2 app and can report this because it's really independent of this. You're putting everything in here. It can transmit over to some of these bands and let you know your period's about to start or whatever. But it is a function of the app. But we were going to talk ECG. First of all, this one. Nice presentation because it shows you each one, if you have more than one, the first few beats of your heart are actually shown here. This is the actual graph itself. This one just gives you information about your latest ones, the heart rate, QT interval, and heart rate variability. Either way, you touch it and you go in here, and now you can start testing directly. And this is how I recommend you do it. You wear the band, you start the testing from here, you hold this thing, and it'll produce the chart. And that's what I did on both of these. I produced it from using the app when it was on my left arm, both of them on my left arm. Otherwise, these peaks go south. When you do that, you can come in here and look at the results. And when you play this, this has kind of a long delay before it kicked in. This one, same thing. And now they're starting to kick in. So they play in real time. This one's a bright red against black. That one's a thinner red against white. Again, subtle things. It's showing you more information about the frequency, the walk speed, and the gain on here. You have the ability to speed things up if you want to on this one. And you have your heart rate zone, QT interval, and HRV data on both of these. There's analytical result, which is in a sense a reading of your heart rate. It says it's sinus rhythm. It showed no abnormal phenomenon. If there were a problem, it would report that down here, and that's part of the H2, H band 2 app itself, and the software in here to evaluate the waveform. If I press that and make it bigger, you got the whole thing here, and I don't think you could slide along. Yeah, you can. You can slide along if there's something that you really wanted to look at. You could do that on here as well. So that capability is here. How do we get back out of here? A few more things to show you. Don't go away. So this is the ECG part of it, and how to do the detection and then show all the data. Wow, okay, here's a bunch of other ones that I've done, and you see how they all start out differently, and some of them look crazy and all of that. So that's all of the data there. This doesn't have that kind of summary. You have to go through it individually. And you can export these charts and those kind of things as well. Lastly, this part of this one that's not part of this one is this ability to put the actual unit. Let's show you that. Pop off, and they're tough to get off. These. Come on. There. And then you pop this thing up and you slide it in here like that and like that. And in a future video, I am going to slap this on my chest. It's not putting it on that hurts, it's taking it off. And then we'll be able to actually run this as an ECG tester that when you stick it on and you calibrate it, and remember it has two sensors on the bottom here and here. Those are the main ones that are going to touch your body. But when you get into the actual test, which you get to here, it's the one that looks like the chest strap. That's the ECG. Here it is. You press and enter. You press that and hold. And it's going to go into that mode. You'll see it on the app. And with one finger, you touch this. And that helps to calibrate the other two. And you hold it for about a minute. And after that, you can let go. And it'll run on its own. And it has a record button. You can record the ECG. And I'll show you all that in an upcoming app. I just want you to know that that is available only with this combination. So, once again, by way of summary, the Spovan blade is so far the best health dynamic band on the market, doing all kinds of amazing things, primarily the ECG using chest touch technology as well, and the apnea reporting that appears to be definitely available. I'm not sure accurate, but it sure seems like it. It's hitting on the money when it's waking me up, I'll put it that way. And the fact that it has alarms built into it. Other than that, you can go with the V19, and if you've already bought this one, you can be happy with it unless you want those two functions. They correlate really well in covering everything else, especially with the blood oxygen readings and the ECGs. And if you don't need all of that level of sophistication, you can back down to the ones that don't have the red diode technology, save a few bucks, and pretty much get the rest of this stuff that you see here, the whole step count thing, the workout stuff, all of the sleep information, your heart rate and blood pressure, and some HRV information, heart rate variability as well, plus the ECG. You're just not getting the overall blood oxygen, which ties into the sleep apnea and those factors too. One thing I will say on the behalf of this one, it's got this little light down at the bottom, a breathing light. And so when you put it in the workout mode, this one you have to slide, and you get it in, this has meditation on it as well too, where you can breathe in and breathe out, that kind of stuff. Sports, when you get in here into the sports, and you start it, 3, 2, 1, it's going to actually light up a little light down at the bottom. Once it gets going, and it'll show you what your heart rate zone is as you're working out. And look for the full review on that one. So the i7E has a few extra features in it that are not related to the blood oxygen, but are better suited for fitness. So if you want an overall fitness health band, and you don't care a whole lot about sleep apnea and whatnot, you might consider this one. Best combination of all, I would say, is have both of these. These two are the leaders of their designated class of instruments, the Spovan blade and the i7E. Okay, you've been watching Smartwatch Sticks. I hope that answered a lot of your questions. A lot goes in behind all of this stuff, getting it all figured out and then getting it together to present it to you. So thank you for sticking with us all the way to the end, and we'll see you again soon. Oh, one more thing. Check it out. One of you guys out there had the bright idea of seeing if you could connect the V19 to the H-band 2. I'm here to tell you, it works. And here is, it's a day later now from what you just watched, and I had a whole night with it again last night. This is the V19, and these are the reports coming in on the H-band 2. So if you bought yourself one of these, and you'd like your choice of app to tether to, it will work on either one. However, not the other way around. The Spovan blade, by the way, it's Spovan, if I've been saying Spovian, sorry. Spovan blade will only tether to the H-band 2. It's not recognized by the other one. So let's take a look at this, because I want to show you a couple of more things. First of all, I want to take you to yesterday, because it brought in all of that stuff from yesterday. Now, if you compare what you just watched, this is the same data we were looking at before, and I got the same heart rate variability stuff with the same Lorentz scatter diagram. You saw those two little red sections up there, and then all the other spots that came in afterwards. I got the same blood oxygen results here, showing you now in this app instead of the other one, and again 0 for apnea. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it's an issue of the app not interpreting properly what the band is putting out, and maybe this app would work better. So again, as I say, I worked with it last night, and on the bad news side, when I come down in here to the what is it, heart rate variability, there's the Lorentz plot on this one, and that's working okay. So it's doing that like it was before. But in the blood oxygen, on this one, again, I'm getting, it's weird. This is weird. You see that I have an average, it's like right 98, and then it bumps up occasionally. Whereas the Spovan blade has a line and it drops down, which is what I would expect. Normal sleeping apnea or blood oxygen with a perturbation now and then, but the perturbation would be from holding your breath, so it should go down. So it's almost like this is almost there, except somehow it's flipped upside down. And when you're holding your breath, it's giving you a higher reading. So the result is 0 apnea. Same old thing, blood oxygen up at 98%, a really low respiration rate. Hypoxia time is at 0 because there was no apnea, and the range of sleeping activity is at 0. Also, that switch that would allow it to vibrate if it does encounter apnea is not staying on. I've turned it off, I've turned it on, and unfortunately it looks like the band doesn't support it. Here it says it's on, but after sleeping with it, coming back, it was automatically turned off. So a couple of pieces of bad news. It does not look like we are getting apnea results and everything associated with it, and we don't have the alarm capability if you wanted that anyway out of the V19. But you do have the ability to actually link the V19 here. You can go into more and you can activate these different tests if you want to, including launching an ECG test right from here. Well, it's supposed to. Hello? Oh, good grief. They're not working? Okay. It should be connected, so not sure why it's not doing that. Yeah, here's all of the stuff which you can't get into if it isn't connected. Well, all right, it's partially working with this. As you saw, we can initiate any of these from the Spovan blade directly from the H-Band 2 app, but it seems that they show up, but they're not integrated to call the data to report it live on the phone while you're wearing the watch. Yep. Okay. Yep, we got the right step count. Everything else is there. So that's mixed bag. Good news, bad news if you already have a V19. If you haven't bought that's bad English. If you haven't purchased one yet, I would highly recommend the Spovan blade for you. There, we're done.